My name na Blessed Joy. Wetin I carry come for na today na because of this election we just passed so. I don't understand wetin Dr. Amadi just dey talk just now for Arise television. The thing just make my head come scatter. I don't understand whether INEC do this
The key missing thing in this election was failure of integrity that was either deliberate or based on ignorance.
I don't understand how I want to talk this thing. Because the thing just they make head, they turn me. Waiting INEC just do for this election. Just look everywhere. Everywhere just scatter. I beg, make una try, make una watch this video to the end. I see you all tomorrow.
That is, some of these reports or statements on social media suggest maybe likelihood of loss of trust in the judiciary. They should act. For example, under Trump, when Chief Justice Roberts of the U.S. Supreme Court, Trump made a statement attacking the justices very frontally. The Chief Justice issued a statement, very decent, dignified, but clear that the Supreme Court justices are not beholden to anybody. And they are restating their judicial commitment. That's expected if the assault becomes something that could threaten. Again, if you look at the Afrobarometer measure of 2023, about 70% of Nigerians said that they have little trust in the judiciary or none at all, compared with INEC's 75%. That was before the election. So you can understand the context in which all these are going on. But the key point here is that the judiciary has a responsibility in every era to give first moral signaling to all combatants and partisans that is an anchor, that's a solid foundation for democracy, which is the rule of law. And the electoral justice is basically the idea that it is a court's responsibility to uphold the three key elements of electoral democracy. First, political freedom, right to organize yourself, right to form parties, right to express your views, which is amply covered in our fundamental rights. The second one, the right of every person, adult, to vote, and the duty on institutions to provide in that facility, which the Electoral Act and the Constitution provides. And we saw that with the massive registration. The third, and very important, that each person votes in environment that is free and fair, and that the votes are counted equally. And that's why, if you look at the electoral reform we've conducted, it has tried to deal with the three elements. First, the right to be registered, make it easier, people can register. As director of Abuja School, we had to work with INEC, put pressure to extend the process so that everybody can register. The second aspect of it, the party, so there are 4 decision makers in the electoral process. 1, the voters, they have to be registered to vote. 2, the parties. Now, the political parties have to conduct primaries that are democratic. The new Electoral Act makes it very clear. And INEC had a responsibility to ensure that those processes do not de-enfranchise any party member. That's why they demanded in Section 84 for democratic primaries. Of course, we saw in Akwa Ibom and several places that INEC didn't quite do that thoroughly. The third decision maker after the voter, the party, is the electoral management body, the INEC. Now, that responsibility the Act provided was to ensure accuracy, free voting, and accuracy of results. And that's why we're talking now about electronic transmission. So the law followed the theory. And the final decision maker is the court. The court now sits to uphold and to ensure that either in this value chain, where there's an error, there's a correction. Now, people debate. There's so much judicialization of our elections. If these agencies do their work, the court will have less to do. And that's why my professor at Harvard, Abraham Chase, says that the court, what they call the governance theory, that the court does not come out if the other branches follow the Constitution. But where they fail, the court has the right to govern, to step in and says, you guys got it wrong. So what we expect now, at this stage now, is that the court should be allowed to do their work. The rumor about the judge leaving or resigning, is actually could be a tactic to frighten the court and create a stalemate. Imagine if a judge resigns and you have to go de novo, go back to trial, and the Constitution has a window of 90 days for everything. And so you get to a point where the right to electoral justice will be truncated through managerial manipulation. And so what we need at this point is for the Nigerian people to give the court, the justices of Presidential Tribunal and the Supreme Court ultimately, the full backing, and to make it clear that the court exists at every epoch to save society. Think about the Dred Scott cases. Think about during the time of racism, segregation. Each time, what stopped massive violence is the courage of the judiciary to first moral signaling, signal to everybody that there are fundamentals in our laws, fundamentals about who is qualified to run an election. The courts are not going to be there to paper over. I watch the tribunals across the country. Governors, maybe Enugu, look at it. I think somewhere now I'm hearing about Plateau. I'm hearing about KB, where there are serious issues around certification. Now think around democracy and development. People talk about China. They say China is not a democracy. But what is clear is China has regularity. The rules are followed. Investors have confidence that there's legitimacy of succession, who succeeds who. The process is followed through, nobody truncates it. And each time in the history of China, whether the Gang of Four or whether with Chairman Mao, where there is a departure from those conventional understanding about society, you see disruption and stagnation.